2019 we started, and that year we had done 6.83 lakhs. This year we have done 683 crore. Jiva is a fine jewelry brand targeting the women of today. See, for a startup everything is a challenge, be it sourcing, be it designing and everything, but over time matlab everyone tackles it.
If somebody were in the jewelry space, what would be your advice to them as to how can they go about creating a business that scales?
The first, though, you start very fast. Having that speed is very important in today's time, because there is competition so strong in every industry. Like if you love your idea, just go in there and don't stop until you have reached somewhere.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of PayU's Let's Talk Scale. This is the show where we feature companies that have scaled both in India and globally. Today, we have the co-founder of Jiva, Nikita Prasad, with us. Welcome to the show, Nikita.
Hi Swapnil, thank you so much for the warm welcome.
Yes.
Very excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm very excited to interview you too, because like I told you, yours is a brand that we see around quite a lot. For people that don't know about your brand, tell us in very simple words, what is Jiva?
So, very easy. Jiva is a fine jewelry brand, started in 2019, targeting the women of today coming and well known. Jiva is well known for its minimal modern design, catering to all the working women of today.
Very nice. So are you all a platform, or do you all actually make the jewelry, or are you both? Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, so we are both. I mean, we are also taking jewelry from the existing vendors, and we are also having our own manufacturing unit in Jaipur. And we do a lot of sourcing from outside of India as well. So it's everything.
It's everything.
Yeah.
Tell me the genesis or the origin of this particular idea, right? Where did this idea come from?
So I come from a jewelry background. My
Interesting.
father had his own retail shop back in Rourkela. It's still there. And so I grew up with the vision of, becoming a jewelry designer. And I pursued designing from NIFT Chennai. And, cut to when I passed out the college, got my placement, doing my first job. Met Ishendra, the founder of Jiva now, and through a friend. And both of us had this one vision of, opening a startup. So I was very specific that I want to do jewelry. He was very specific that silver is has a lot of scope in the future. So all of this combined, we came up with this idea that we want to make jewelry accessible for the women of today, because there was a gap when we were looking at the jewelry market at that time. We saw that there was either jewelry which was gold, which was cost you at least 5,000, 8,000 above, and otherwise there was imitation jewelry which was very very, I would say, accessible, but it was not skin friendly for all the women. So there was a gap of fine metal jewelry which was also accessible, easy on the pockets. So that's when the idea of Jiva came, that by using silver and tweaking the design for the women of today, because women today don't want to put jewelry in their lockers. They want to wear it, because everyone is going out, be it a working woman, be it a homemaker. Everyone loves to go out, loves to dress up. Jewelry is something that can actually amp up your look. So that is something that the vision was, and we worked towards it.
Amazing. Where do you guys stand right now? Tell me the numbers if you can.
So very interestingly, coincidentally, yesterday I was just seeing 2019 we started, and that year we had done 6.83 lakhs. Okay. And 17 December this year, we have done 683 crore.
Wow.
So the first three number, if you look at the coincidence,
Yeah.
6.83 lakh, 683 crore.
Wow.
So yeah.
you guys went from a revenue of 6.8 lakhs to now you all are at a
Yes.
683 crore
Yes.
revenue. That is outstanding work by you all.
Thanks.
Tell me what, Nikita, are the 2 or 3 decisions that Jiva took that really helped you all unlock scale?
I mean, two or three decisions is very tough to point out to, but I would say on the top of it would be the decision of starting online first. That really helped us scale because it also gave us little flexibility, also less investment. Matlab for a startup, how much the investment matters. So keeping it low but still starting and being present everywhere online really helped. The second was I would say just the opposite, that moving to brick and mortar at the right time. So 2019, after that COVID hit, and then right after that and I mean things shook a little, and but I mean after the market opened, we saw that it's the best time to open a store because the rentals were less, so we wanted to do an experiment. We put up our first store in May 22 here in Bangalore itself, and gave us a very good response, and then we did not stop. Today we are having around we'll be soon 300 stores.
Yeah, standalone stores, which
Yes.
are yours. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah, and one more thing I would say which really helped in scale is having a brand ambassador. Like as a startup, when we onboarded Anushka, and before that we had Neha Kakkar. So it really helped us to gain the trust in the consumer.
Jewelry is very complex, right? The business. It looks very simple from the outside for people, but it's very complex when it comes to the sourcing, inventory, quality, a lot of these things. What part of this entire value chain became the biggest bottleneck for you to scale?
See, for a startup, everything is a challenge, be it sourcing, be it, designing and everything. But over time, everyone tackles it sooner or later. Like sourcing, initially it used to be like MOQ because we were online, we didn't want to, have a lot of, इतना demand ही नहीं होता था. So the vendors would say, we will not give you this much. So all of that we tackled over time. Also happened with the growth, but one thing over time became a bottleneck was the inventory pile up. So because our vision was always to be on the top of the trend, and for that from the very beginning what we did was we used to launch new designs every week. So every week we'll have a drop of at least 50 to 100 designs.
Wow.
So, and then imagine the number of, inventory that we used to have. And with trend, not everything flies away, So that became a bottleneck. But we have recently then, the merchandising team that really helped us. Initially we did not have that, but then we realized that, it's time that we have a better, pipeline for it. So the merchandising team, their job is to identify the trend, but also kind of give us the forecast that how much this will long, how much should we order, and all of that. So keeping a limit that it is okay to chase the trend, but also putting a maximum limit to it, that helped us.
Very interesting. What internal systems or metrics became non-negotiable once Jiva crossed that early traction?
So internal system, I would say, I will not, just for the audience, not very complicated one, but one was having, so we used to stay in touch with our customers a lot. So we started calculating the net promoter score, which is called NPS. So we divided our customer into 3 buckets, like customers who are very happy with the brand, like the loyalists, then some who are neutral, and then some who have bought from us but they are not happy with us. So our main motto was to understand whoever has discovered the brand, because these all 3 buckets have discovered us, right? So understanding what has gone right, what has not gone right, why people are indifferent about it, and then doing the back end work. Like for example, people who love the brand, what did they love about it? So setting up a system so that we do not stop doing what we have done right, because as a startup you experiment 100 things, you don't know what has worked, what has not. So identifying what has worked for us and making that as adding that to your playbook, then talking to the people who are neutral, like why are you neutral? Either you love it or you do not. So what can push them to becoming a loyalist, understanding their needs. And then people who are not happy with the brand, what can we do to improve? That was the very important segment for us to understand, like if we have served you, where did we lag? So first speaking to the customer and then doing the back end job.
Nikita, you're in an industry that is dominated by a lot of large players, a lot of players that have also been around for a very long time, right? You also spoke of your own background in terms of, your family being in the jewelry business. You've come and made a mark in a business like this. So, what are a few things that you can share about what are effective ways to compete with larger players, older players, more established players? What do you need to do to compete in that space?
It came with a lot of challenges because these older players, one thing that they carry with them is the trust of people. Like for example, if my mom is buying something from a jeweler, she has been buying from that jeweler for say decades, right? So she has that trust and that ease of reaching out to them. So that is something that we had to compete with a lot. So as a new brand, we had to face that challenge. Then as a new startup, we also had to understand that what is for, I mean, just demarcating this line that okay, these are older players, they are in the market, but what is that they are offering? I mean, there is still a gap that is not, that they are not offering.
Got
right
it.
So identifying that and doubling down on that. So for us, we identified that okay, silver is going to be working for us, the minimal designs, and our only customer at that point was the working women of today, not their mothers, not their husbands, no one. That everything came eventually. Like when we started doing minimal jewelry, people started gifting Jiva. We never came up with the thought कि हम कुछ gift देने वाली brand बने. But today, when you hear from people, so many people tell me that I tried Jiva because someone gifted it to me. So everything, over time, the brand develops into that, and then you identify okay, this is also a segment. So then you start capturing it.
You spoke about silver. Silver has been seeing a record breaking year. How does that impact your industry? How does that impact Jiva positively, negatively? Tell us about that.
See, everything has its pros and cons.
Yeah.
So the con is that the rising price of silver, it has really shook the industry in I mean, in a very what do I say, wrong or right way, I don't know, but it has. So what we are seeing like currently is people's adaptability moving to silver more, because we also know that gold has also been hitting the highs, right? So people have now started moving to silver as a more serious metal. Like earlier, like even when we started Jiva, our mothers and the elders in the house, they would say like silver was only for anklets and toe rings. Like why are they going to wear it as a necklace and as a fashion piece, as a serious metal? No one used to. And like till today, a lot of people think that we are just doing some fashion, and because return nahi hota tha, right? There was no although it has a return value, but no one was talking about
Got
it, right? So now that awareness is there because the prices have risen. तो अभी वही हो जाता है कि people now they think that okay, does it have a return value? Then they know it does have. And also all these initiatives of hallmarking and the return value, so all of this also helps people to take it as a serious metal. So it is the best time for silver.
Yeah, interesting. What role do payments play in both driving adoption and retention at Jiva?
Very, very important. I mean, payment is something that is, never spoken about. But if you are trying to just imagine the scenario that you saw something and it is an impulsive purchase, but the payment is not going through. I mean, जितनी जल्दी वो convert होने वाला होता है, उतनी जल्दी people stop trying that. Okay, I mean, because that also gives you a sense of whether the brand is genuine or not. Especially, I mean, for a startup, when payment is not very smooth, people quickly they lack trust,
Yeah.
and they do not convert at the end.
Yeah.
So that was one example. I would say one more would be sometimes, these things happen, that the money gets deducted but the order is not placed.
Yeah.
So all of these things, they become very important that it is resolved immediately, because payment is something, matlab, you can do any kind of branding, you can say whatever you are offering, return kar rahe ho, jo bhi kar rahe ho, but this is like your first test that if your money is safe with the brand, then the user will have their best confidence on it. So it is very important.
It is very important.
Yeah.
How important is payment flexibility for your customers, right? Do you see them preferring one mode over the other? Do you see a dominance of UPI versus wallets versus cards? Tell us a little more about that.
Okay, so actually scenario based. I mean, वैसे तो because of digital India, everyone prefers UPI over anything nowadays. So I would say out of these three payment modes, UPI is the most go-to way.
And what percentage would it be, if you can give us that?
I think 80% easily.
Got it.
Yeah. And then the rest would be the cards. So card also plays a great role when we are, doing international transaction. For them, the card comes very handy. They would do the payments by card. And then the last would be the wallet. Wallet is more for the people who are the loyalists to the brand, because then they have the money added in the wallet. So they would prefer wallet over everything. So yeah, UPI, cards and wallets.
Got it. Tell me about your PayU partnership. How has that helped you all scale your business in any way?
PayU partnership has always been an upside, because PayU was also, growing with the brand, and it instantly gives trust when people know the payment gateway, they know the name, so it kind of gives them a little more trust at that point. Yeah, I mean, it's a subconscious thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
You've been a part of the jewelry industry since your childhood in some way, right? Because your family is into the business. What, in spite of that, surprised you when you started Jiva? What were the two or three things that you didn't expect, in spite of being having the heritage of this particular business?
So I think the first thing that when we started was the fact that we are going to do business with silver jewelry, because like I said, we used to see only silver being used only as utensils, like there was nothing related to fashion and aesthetics for silver at that time, and the adaptability of consumer today towards silver was shocking to us. In fact, initially when we used to go to the investors for funding, they used to question it, like, matlab, why are you doing silver? No one is going to buy it. Why are you not doing stainless steel? Why are you not doing gold? Because that is something that is doing internationally, like internationally stainless steel, like brands like Swarovski, which have made it a brand.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it was stainless steel. So then we were like, if people are paying so much for steel, why can't they pay for silver? That was our debate. So that was one of the biggest surprise for us. The other was, the appetite of consumer to, keep buying more and more. So nowadays, I mean, earlier, if you think of, buying jewelry, women used to buy it once or twice in a year, right? But now the number of times the customers are coming back to us, sometimes buying for themselves, for the gifts, that is crazy. In fact, I mean, I told you that we are dropping new collection every week. Even after that, customers tell us that you do not have enough designs.
Got it.
So everything, I mean, everything is a surprise to us. That also, I mean, the amount of competition that this industry has currently, and it's not only limited to the metal silver. Like in jewelry market itself, there are so many new brands who are coming up with, even gold, silver, imitation, everything, I mean, there is so much innovation happening in jewelry industry that it's kind of surprising.
How important is social media in the process of building a B2C brand, or in specific a jewelry brand? How important a role does it play?
Social media, no one can deny the fact that it is dominating any kind of, industry nowadays, like be it real estate, be it retail or whatever. So for us also, social media has been a very, very great channel especially in our industry, it is very important to establish that community. That community of people who are constantly trusting you, and they are always, I mean, you are telling them that what you are doing, and in the, be it in form of post or reels, it's a great way of storytelling. So also, I mean, you have more control over it. Yeah, it's your own channel. It is, I mean, comparatively not so expensive than other sources of branding. So social media, it is also the trend. So being into the fashion and jewelry retail, it is a compulsion to be there, and it has kind of accelerated us in growth.
Got it. How much of a role did technology play in your scaling up?
Technology was again one of the strongest lever, I would say, because we started online, and so everything was technology only for us. Be it building our own website on Shopify, and onboarding the delivery partners through different, I mean, through their delivery apps, and the payment gateways. Everything has been driven by technology. Even when we moved to offline, I mean, the experience of omni-channel, I would say, it has been possible only because of technology. So when I say omni-channel, we are trying to give everyone who's coming to the brand, be it online or on our stores or in our multi-brand outlets, say we have a store in Shoppers Stop, whoever is coming, everyone is getting an uniform experience throughout. So that has been possible only because of technology.
Final question. If somebody were in the jewelry space and wanted to scale up a business, quite like Jiva has done, what would be your advice to them as to how can they go about creating a business that scales?
So I think be it jewelry or any startup, first though you start very fast, okay, and I mean, having that speed is very important in today's time, because there is competition so strong in every industry. So the thing is, the mindset should be that you are going there. Like, if you love your idea, just go in there and don't stop until you have reached somewhere. So have very strong goals. Then know your product market fit. I mean, one thing that people do a lot, I mean, one common mistake that a lot of people do is, they marry their idea. That, like, for example, I would have told you at that time that, no, I think that silver will work, but, I think bigger earrings will work or something. I mean, I make a notion and then I keep doing that only. But my audience is a working woman. They don't want to wear big earrings. They want to, so you need to experiment a lot. So understanding, because a lot of people, they think that they know what their customer needs. So finding that product market fit is very important. And yeah, I mean, just keep learning about the industry. Be very vigilant about whatever you're doing. Know what your competitors are doing. Be on the top of it.
It's been a pleasure talking to you. Like I said, I'd heard of Jiva much before this particular interview. I've seen it all over. But to hear your story as to how you scaled to close 600 crore plus of revenue and 300 odd stores that you have of your own, that is fantastic. And we know that it's very difficult to do in this particular space. So I congratulate you. I congratulate your team.
Thank you so much, Swapnil. It has been a great chat. And I wish you all the best too.
Thank you. Thank you very much.